What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And once a month, I host conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. And yes, it's Canada's national fatherhood organization because I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That's why it's Canada's national fatherhood organization. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Thank you for taking in the conversation, whether it's live or on the replay. I always like having this lady on the Dr. Vibe show because she shines a lot of light, not only for myself, but others. So it's not an old friend, it's a beautiful friend. Her name is Serena Wills. She's a native New Yorker and currently resides in the Washington, D.C. area. She holds a BA in Policy Studies from Syracuse University, a MPA from Virginia Tech, and a Master of Arts in Health and Wellness Coaching from the Maryland University of Integrative Health. She's a national board certified health and wellness coach through the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, and is the owner of Divine Wryte Wellness, her health and wellness coaching practice. And she's a published author and poet. She's published 3 books: The Awakening Pieces of Life, Volume 2, December 2019, Crying Tears of Teal, fall 2017, and her first poetry book, Reconstruction, The Pieces of Life, Volume 1, released in 2014. You can find her in a lot of anthologies and a lot of health and wellness articles in various publications. She's a mother to a beautiful son who we saw before we went live in his Spider-Man outfit, and is an advocate for ovarian cancer, GYN cancers, and Lyme disease research, and is a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc. And tonight, we have her sharing, because September is a special month. It is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. So we'd like to welcome to the Dr. Vibe show again, our friend, Serena Wills.
Hey, how are you?
How are you doing?
I am good. I am blessed. And like we talked about earlier, just taking it one moment at a time.
Well, share some of the moments you've had recently, especially with the education system.
Jeez.
Where to start, right?
Where to start? And I mean, my hats have always been off to educators, but they are going beyond the call of duty. I mean, what these teachers and educators and staff members are doing in our education system is just mind-boggling. I just can't believe they're able to do it all. So, yeah. And parents, my hat's off to all of us, because we're alongside of our children, virtually helping them out.
Yes. How's it been for you as a parent?
Oh, it's I tell people, like, my joke is, I am now the lunch lady, the custodian, I'm the help desk and IT support, a school nurse, and a teacher's aide, because my son has specific learning disabilities. So he needs a little extra help throughout the day. So I literally am like at his side almost, Tuesday through Friday. And then Mondays is our independent day. What they call it, asynchronous work day. So you work on your own.
From what you're sharing with me, you remind me of one of the reoccurring skits in Living Color back in the day. Me have 6 job, man.
That's how I feel. It was called 8 Man.
Yes. Serena, I want to just share something that I've been blessed to know you, at least digitally, for over 2 years now.
Yeah.
And the growth that you have done personally and professionally while being a great mother, you're becoming a leader now, because you're leading workshops, which was something you didn't do when we first met.
No, not at all.
Tell us about your workshops.
That actually happened last year. I was on the Poet Laureate Committee for the city of Alexandria, and we helped, to select the next Poet Laureate. We actually helped select the first African-American Poet Laureate ever in the city of Alexandria in Virginia. Since the 1970s, we've never had a Black Poet Laureate. And while I was on that committee, I met the Deputy Director of Public Libraries here, in Alexandria, and she said, I've heard that you're a self-published author from the former poet laureate. Have you ever done workshops to teach people on your techniques and your journey as a self-published author? And I told her I've helped people offline, but never did a full-blown workshop. So she said, if I offer you space and time, will you do one for the public library here, or public libraries? So of course I agreed to it. It opened doors, and I've done a couple of more for the city of Alexandria. But of course we are now in a pandemic, so everything changed. And these are ideas I have had in my head for a long while, not just publishing, but health and wellness topics as well. I do workshops on mindful eating. I do one on embracing the renewed you. I'm doing one about caregivers. So this spring, when we were all on lockdown, and we're pretty much still on lockdown, my workshops had to go virtual. So the first one I did virtually was self-publishing through the library again. But then talking to friends, they said, Serena, you could do this on your own. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. So in June, I hosted my very first workshop on my own, went through Eventbrite, had tickets and everything. It went really well. And it just, the ball, like the wheel started turning, the ball started rolling. And since then, I've done a few workshops with self-publishing. I now have a self-publishing 201 workshop. So I have 101 and 201. I've done mindful eating, and I'm about to actually release my catalog of courses that's coming out mid-October through January. I have them all scheduled. I just have to release them. But it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
A second. Do you rest?
It's funny. My son makes fun of me because he says, Mommy, you sleep so much. I said, if you saw what I did, I said, look at what I'm doing every day before the pandemic. But now, since everything happened with COVID, I tell people, like, my dear Soror Tachi says, this is the season of being more So better, greater, there we go. Be more wiser, just do it bigger. So I did it, and now it's nice because you start off with a few participants, and then they pass on the word. And I had some reach out to me saying, when are you going to start your workshops back up? And I said, don't worry. I said, mid-October, late October, I'm getting some things together, and then, creating more workshops. So yeah, it's been a blessing. It's been a huge blessing.
Well, you have taken advantage of 2020, haven't you?
I have. There's been a lot of, as we know, there's been a lot of bad in 2020, and you can't ignore that, but I have to focus on the blessings. I have to focus on the greater things. Just this season we're in, I'm able to spend so much time with my son, and my grandmother saw 96 in May, and even though I can't see her, just the fact she's still here, and just, God giving me, like, downloading all this information into my brain, and I have to be obedient. I'm like, okay, you want me to do workshops? I will do workshops on my own instead of waiting to be sponsored. Because, you could wait all day, all night for someone to sponsor you. You'll never get anything done.
Right. Yep. Makes sense. Well, enough about you, because if you want to find out more about Serena, yes, we've done enough conversation. So go to my website and you get enough conversation. Yes. We have two main focuses tonight. One we will talk about later, but this is Ovarian Cancer Month, and we always like to have you come on and share any updates, any new news when it comes to ovarian cancer. So please feel free to share.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you again, for having me on. So yes, September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month here in the States. As you can see, I'm wearing teal. I have a teal ribbon on my shirt. So teal is actually the color that represents both ovarian cancer, and it also represents another GYN cancer, which is cervical cancer. And Cervical Cancer Awareness Month is in January. September is also National GYN Awareness Month, GYN Cancer Awareness Month. So this month we're also recognizing all of the GYN cancers as well. Just so again, so now here we are in a pandemic, and the world had to pretty much stop. But we have women out there who are in the midst of their cancer treatments, and those treatments could not stop during COVID. So one thing that, I have been learning through organizations like the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, like Share Cancer Support Group, they're phenomenal organizations, is they really had to increase just support and just being there for people. Just, the helpline has been blowing up. People just need just another extra ear to listen, just to hear their stories. Because, in the midst of the battle we're going through with COVID, we have women out there who are battling ovarian cancer. There are still women, still getting diagnosed with this cancer. And now the scarier part is, just to get an appointment, to go to the hospital or the doctor, there's now all these extra steps. And if you have cancer or any chronic illness, or underlying health condition, you are more susceptible to COVID-19. So that is the one thing that I have learned, is that, just women with ovarian cancer were already extra careful before the pandemic, because of their immune systems, but now have to be, it's like adding 10 extra layers, if not more, of protection when you just walk out the front door just to get your treatments, or to go to that clinical trial, or just to see your doctor. So that's just one thing I wanted to start off with. Was
I just want, this is very interesting, because of course one of the questions I would ask, and before we go there, shout out to everyone who is watching live or on the replay of watching live. We have Nicole, who I know attended one of your workshops, and she said, so amazing, Serena. And she says, great to support both you and Serena, and we support you back, Nicole, 150%. The whole access of getting treatment during 2020, how are ladies overcoming that challenge, if they are able to overcome that challenge?
Yeah, I will tell you, I actually have spoken to even just a few doctors, and there are a couple of doctors that I know personally who are making house calls to their cancer patients in particular. They're like, if they can't get to us, we will get to them. So they're going above and beyond their call of duty. Not every doctor is doing this, but there are some doctors out there doing that. And like I said, they still have to get their treatments. So, if you already had, cancer, you already had that relationship with your doctors or medical team to continue your treatments. They are telling everyone to please continue your treatments, because you can't say, oh, I have to stop my treatments until COVID-19 is over. We don't know when this pandemic is going to, go over us and bypass us. The other unique thing that is now happening, is usually, you would go for a treatment and you'll bring maybe a family member or a caregiver. And depending on the stage you are in, some doctors are only allowing one caregiver to come with you to your appointment, depending on, how strong you are. And some places are not allowing anyone, because as we know, there are hospitals where once you are hospitalized, or let's say you have to do an overnight visit, because some people or some women, like my mom, used to get her chemo treatments overnight. So now you're getting your treatments, and sometimes you're in this now physically alone, because they are not allowed, some people are not allowed to bring in that extra physical family support with them because of all the restrictions around COVID. So that is really, my heart breaks, because you're already going through ovarian cancer. Your family's going through this, but now, some places, like I said, I'm their caregiver. I can go with them But, some places are like, well, if they're not on our list as your caregiver, they can't walk through these front doors. So you have to have like a specific caregiver or a set of caregivers. And in some places are like, sorry, you just have to come in here by yourself, make sure you have a ride home, because after chemo or any sort of treatment, you're weak sometimes. So yeah, that has added also an extra layer of just stuff that we just don't need. These women need support. You want somebody to sit next to you when you're going through a round of treatment. Even if you're going through, IVs, integrative health approach, vitamin IV infusions or what have you. Some of those places are only allowing the people that are getting the IV to come into that practice and no one else.
Wow. Let alone the emotional and physical challenge.
Yes.
Two conversation pieces on the list of cancers that are prevalent that women are exposed to. Where in the ranking does an ovarian cancer stand? Because I'm just guessing that probably breast cancer is probably number one.
I think breast cancer is over ovarian cancer, but ovarian cancer is actually ranked, and I have notes because the numbers change every year. But
you always come with your notes, so I know you're good. I know you're good. You're good.
But it ranks it ranks fifth in cancer deaths amongst women.
Wow.
Fifth. Now that's fifth in the United States. Around the world, because now we're global. I thought of you and everyone who's tuning in. It's actually ranks seventh as most commonly diagnosed cancers amongst women globally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's up there, and the scarier part about ovarian cancer that I say, and I think some people are waiting for me to say something different, and I wish I could, is that, there's no accurate test for this. You can do the CA-125 blood test, and you can have normal numbers, and CA means cancer antigen. There's different cancer antigen tests. And the CA-125 is specific for ovarian cancer and a couple of other cancers as well. You can have, you're supposed to be around the 35 range. And you can have like a 35 or 40. And a doctor may say, oh, your numbers look great. We don't think anything of it. And you can still have ovarian cancer. When you go to get your annual exam, from the doctor, that's another thing that's going on now in the United States and globally, is just getting your annual exam to get a pap smear is becoming a challenge because of all these restrictions and everything going on with COVID. But even with a pap smear, you want to get your annual exam anyway to make sure you are checked. But ovarian cancer, unfortunately, cannot be detected in your annual exam because your ovaries are so deeply embedded in the cavity of your body. They can't see your ovaries. So there's no accurate test yet. We're in 2020 now, for ovarian cancer. And then some insurance companies fight you on, getting ways to look at your ovaries and your reproductive system a little closely. Because I'm high risk, because my mom passed away from ovarian cancer, it's been over 10 years now. And I get a transvaginal ultrasound every year. And that is basically, the ultrasounds that women get, when you're pregnant. But I get them because they want to see my uterus. They want to try and see my ovaries as close as possible. That's the only way to kind of see things. And then insurance companies will try and fight you to get that done. So I've actually had, a run-in with an insurance company. I will not name them online, but I've never received a bill. I've been getting these exams done since I was 35 years old. And the other year, I got my first bill from this insurance company because they didn't believe I needed the exam. And that bill was about $500.
Hold on. Let me ask you, based on what did they feel you didn't need the exam?
They didn't think I needed a transvaginal ultrasound because they said, well, you're not pregnant. You don't have cancer.
Okay.
I said, well, I don't have it, but I want to try and keep it that way. And there's no accurate tests. And even my doctor he orders the same tests every year, but like I said, the insurance company switched because I switched jobs. And he wrote on there, high risk for ovarian cancer, and also, I have fibroids. And they denied covering it. They would not cover even a dime. And, I think the clinic, the place where I went to actually curved the bill because they said the bill would have been higher. They said, but when they said they weren't going to cover it, we lowered your bill so you wouldn't have to pay so much. But I've never gotten a bill for this. And now all of a sudden, this was 2018. So I've been getting this for 8 years. And now suddenly, because it's a different insurance company, so I can imagine what other women are going through, and because.
So let me interrupt. So there's of what you just shared, there's two things that come up. I'll deal with what you said recently.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it, how does a lady deal with this? Because it doesn't sound like the treatments are cheap.
Well, no, that was just me getting an exam. That's once a year. So an example of billing, I remember my mom when she was going through her treatments, at the time when she went in, she didn't know she had ovarian cancer. She thought that it was menopause because ovarian cancer symptoms mimic menopause. So she thought, I'm just having a moment. I'm going to go in and get checked. She thought it was something deeper than menopause, but she didn't think stage 4 ovarian cancer. When she went into the hospital, originally they misdiagnosed her. They thought she just had a bad bout of constipation and sent her home with Imodium AD. And then she went back to the hospital, and that's where they did a CAT scan and all kinds of stuff, just to look at, her abdominal area, her ovaries, and that's where they saw all the tumors. When my mom went in originally, she didn't have any health insurance. She had none. So the doctors, of course, called the social workers at the hospital, and she filed for emergency Medicaid because she wasn't working. And at this time, it was hard for just, a quote unquote healthy adult at that time in New York to just get Medicaid. So she actually was able to get Medicaid. And I remember after she passed away, I saw a bill from one of the hospitals. She had went to 2 or 3, but the main one she went to back and forth on. And luckily her bill was we only owed $25 on the bill. The rest of the bill showed everything she had, from the chemotherapy treatments to the daily night stays at the hospital, because they charge you by the night that you're in the hospital. And that was from the one place, the one hospital. That bill was $125,000.
How much?
$125,000. And that was from one specific hospital. She was in a nursing home. They had that, luckily Medicaid covered that whole bill. She went to another hospital and Medicaid covered that whole bill. But that was just one bill that I was able to catch in the mail. And I said, oh my gosh, what if you don't have insurance? Or what if you have the insurance where you have to pay a certain amount out of pocket? We're talking 6 figures here, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot.
And Helena Hamilton is saying this is all very informative. Thank you,
Oh,
Serena.
Helena.
Yeah.
Yes, hi, Helena.
I'm glad. What concerns me going forward right now is there are certain individuals in your country that want to take away the Affordable Care Act. So I don't know how much help the Affordable Care Act helps with this ovarian cancer situation, but I'm just saying if that is taken away, that's not a good situation.
No, because there's still millions of people here in the United States who are still not even covered, period, by health insurance, even with the Affordable Care Act. So now you're trying to take this away. And no, it would not make for a good situation. And then you're doing all this in the midst of COVID-19, seriously. So yeah, there's a lot of whack jobs that are in administration right now here in the United States. And it's cruel. It is flat out cruel to do this, and there are families and women who are, they're getting their insurance through the Affordable Care Act, and if it's taken away and they now have to get regular or full-blown, full-priced insurance, now you're paying the monthly premiums on top of copays, on top of deductibles.
Wow. The other part of what you shared over the last few minutes really sticks with me is there's no way of diagnosing this. So how does a lady know that she has ovarian cancer?
Yeah, well, unfortunately you get diagnosed when you have the cancer. That's the unfortunate part. Cervical cancer, I tell people that cancer is easier to detect because you can detect it through a pap smear, but then there's still some women who they're not able to catch it. Then, maybe they're not getting their annuals regularly or in between an annual, but with ovarian cancer, you're right. Like my mom was diagnosed stage 4, and not only was she stage 4 ovarian cancer, but she was considered inoperable. So there are some women who are diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Sad part is about 75 to 80% of the women who are diagnosed are already in the latter stages. They're in stages 3 and 4. That leaves only 15 to 20% that is in stages 1 and 2. And unfortunately, also with ovarian cancer, it is a very silent cancer. Like I said, it can mimic and mock menopause. I met a young lady. She said she was in her 20s. She was pregnant with her child. And when she went in the hospital and they did, her sonogram and everything, the baby was fine, but something else didn't look right on the screen. And that's when they saw the tumors. So she said if she was not pregnant with her child, she would not have known she had ovarian cancer. She was already in stage 4, I believe, while she was pregnant. So that's the unfortunate part, is there's no accurate test. I know scientists and researchers are studying, of course, more clinical trials and more medications and drugs or treatments. There's a lot of integrative health routes to go as well. But yeah, that is when you unfortunately find out. And like I said, some women are able to be operated on, where they're able to either get full hysterectomies, a partial hysterectomy, get their ovaries removed or the tumors removed. But in my mother's case, the cancer had spread so much, it went beyond her ovaries. It was her whole entire reproductive system was cancer. Stomach, it was already in her liver. So they said if we were to operate on your mother, they couldn't. They said it's illegal to operate on her because we would kill her. And her CA-125 level, like I said, your normal is supposed to be about 35 or so. Hers was over 5,000. And that's not a test that women normally get. That's another thing. You have to request a CA-125. It's not in your usual lab work. And then sometimes, the labs may say, why is she getting this test? Because I want to see it's my blood. I want to see my lab work and I want to see where my levels are. But hers was over 5,000 when they did that test, and she was never operable. That was the problem. They tried to get the tumors down. They tried to get them decreased in size so they could operate on my mother, but she never became operable. And she passed away 6 months after diagnosis.
My continued condolences on this,
Oh, thank you. And then what some women are doing that I actually just read about recently, I've heard about this. I actually had a friend of mine who did this as well. She actually had a full hysterectomy done because her mother died the same year my mom died of ovarian cancer. And she said, Serena, I don't want any kids biologically anyway. And she was able to, somehow, get the insurance company. They paid for some of it, but she got a full hysterectomy. She was like, I don't want any of it. If I could just remove anything that's going to, to try and cause ovarian cancer. But some women who are high risk are now going that route. They're getting their fallopian tubes removed. They're trying to get surgeries to get their ovaries removed, which is a very, because, now you're kind of throwing your body into menopause. when you're starting to remove reproductive, parts. And then there's other things that happen as well, like, blood levels, your estrogen levels are all thrown off. So sometimes they have to put those women on hormones to assist them. But women are really going, they're going, just really as far as they can to try and prevent the cancer, because there's no accurate tests and there's no accurate screening.
Wow. That's since we last talked, have there been any new advancements, or is it because maybe the medical profession is so focused on COVID that any developments in ovarian cancer research have sort of had a hold, or we're not hearing as much?
Well, I had to dig online, especially when you just type in 2020, the first thing that comes up is COVID-19, it just dominates the internet. But, they are now pushing more people to get the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene test. So BRCA is BRCA, and everybody has this gene. So I just want to tell people that everybody has the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene. So what they are looking for and what researchers and scientists are studying is the mutated genes. So that is what you're looking for. You're looking for a gene mutation. And some women and some men, because I want to put this out there too, men can carry the gene that causes ovarian cancer and they could pass it on to their children. So some men are like, oh, ovarian cancer, I don't have to worry about it. Well, no, you yourself can't get ovarian cancer, but if you have a BRCA1, BRCA2 gene mutation, and you have children, especially a daughter, and she now has the gene mutation because of you. So they say that with women like that, they pay closer attention to them. Myself, I was able to get that gene test done for free. I actually was a part of a study, and I went online. The study is now closed, unfortunately, and they covered every dime for me to get my gene test. And my gene test came back negative, but it doesn't mean that I will never get ovarian cancer. But that's just one thing I could take off the table, is that I don't have the BRCA1, BRCA2 gene mutation. But now what some medical professionals are telling me is that because my mother had ovarian cancer, it could have skipped me and gone to my son. So my son could have a gene mutation and pass it on to his kids.
So this is very informative. So men.
Yeah, let's back it up.
Here,
yeah.
Men, because a lot of people just say ovarian, no, but so is there any testing that a man should do to see if he has this BRCA1 gene? Is there anything that men can do? Obviously ladies can do it, but what about men also?
Yeah, the gene mutation, the gene test is for men and women.
Okay.
Anybody can take it, especially since men can also get breast cancer, and the same gene that causes ovarian cancer, the same gene mutation causes breast cancer.
Okay.
So it's for men and women, but now they're saying that some teenagers, because we have now young girls. I met a 9-year-old. I met parents of a 9-year-old girl who had ovarian cancer. The girl, she's my son's age, had ovarian cancer.
How old?
9. Because you have your ovaries already. And, when mom and dad got their gene test, one of them had the mutation. But they wouldn't have assumed that their child would have this, gene, have cancer. And she was complaining about abdominal pain and other things of that nature. And when they went in, now luckily I actually met the little girl. She's alive and well, but she actually had to have a surgery done, and that was part of the conversation that her mom had to have with her, is that the surgery she had done is now she can't have children. Oh. So when she gets older.
And what age did she have this surgery?
She was 9.
And she can't have children now.
Yeah, because they removed her ovaries, they removed tumors, the fallopian tubes, everything is removed. So she can't have biological children. She can adopt, of course, but she can't have her own biological children. So it's rare. It's actually rare in children and teenagers, but you're starting to see more 20s and 30s get ovarian cancer. Mainly women who are 40 and up. The older you get, your risk is now increased. And the majority is 60 and above. But
so let me ask you, how does one, are there any things that people do that make them get this unfortunate disease or medical situation? And just before we go any further, Kim Jackson saying this is amazing information for my sis. Thank you, Kim. Very much appreciate that. Kim. And a shout out to Sean Dove Soares on Periscope. Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt, Serena. You sound like you know Kim Jackson.
That's a blessing. Kim and I grew up together. She knows my mother very, very well. Okay. And yeah, she was, when I lost my mom, she had already lost her mom when we were teenagers. So she was there for me, in a way I needed, when I lost my mom. But yeah, I have met women who have done what you call everything right. So they have the best diets, they work out, the stress levels are, everybody's stressed, but, they do a lot of self-care and they do everything they can and still get ovarian cancer. Especially if you could have a gene mutation and never get cancer, but the gene mutation, it happens. It is nothing that you can do to say, oh, I ate this way, so now I have this gene mutation. You're born with it, but yeah, you could do everything right in the book and still get this cancer. So there's nothing I could say today like, oh, of course I want everyone as a health and wellness coach to eat well, work out, get some sleep, get enough adequate sleep. You want to take care of yourself and build your body up. So when you go in and go and fight, the cancer, hopefully, you'll be in better shape. But there are some women who are the most physically fit women I have met. They were diagnosed with ovarian cancer and they said it wiped them out. They were athletes, triathletes, you name it. And they still got it. And, and it still really almost took them out of here,
Wow. Well, Kim says, I love you, Serena.
Oh, I love you too, Kim.
And also Moy Fung, very informative. Thanks for this broadcast. And I do know Moy, and thank you for taking time for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule, Moy, because I know you got a lot on the go. Like everyone who's watching this live on the replay, we appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. So we're going to transition a bit and spend the last few moments of our conversation on a special person. So back on August 27th, 2018, and Serena had been on for a few times on the Dr. Vibe show, and says, I've got someone I want to bring on. So I go, okay, all right. Like, I know Serena, she ain't gonna like fool me or pull something on me, right? And she brought this lady on named Tara Lassard, and Tara had so much energy, and was such a positive life. And I want to read a little bit about Tara, and then I'm going to let Serena continue. So I'm going to read some of Tara's story. It was August 2015. I spent a lot of time crying by the Delaware River, just blocks from my Mooresville, Pennsylvania home. I had suffered acid reflux for a year and knew something more was wrong, but didn't know what it was. I tried diet modification, sleeping, sitting up, and natural remedies to no avail. I finally went to a local hospital ER in September, and after having extreme pain in my stomach, my immense amount of pressure, and with immense amount of pressure when I sat down. They did a CT scan and quickly admitted me to the hospital, where I was told the gynecologist would provide the results the next day and family would be present. It was then the doctor shared with me I had stage 4 ovarian cancer, and there was nothing they could do for me. I was in shock. No one in my family had cancer. So in light of what Serena just said, this is how this happens. I ended up starting treatment at a nearby cancer hospital. They said I was a textbook case and recommended chemotherapy and surgery. And I said I would be fine. I didn't get a sense they knew me or cared about my concerns. They didn't see me as a unique individual. I reached out to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America after my sister researched other options. Unfortunately, I was too sick to travel, and so I treated closer to home at another cancer center and underwent an aggressive plan to give the cancer growth beyond the ovaries.
Yeah.
I had debilitating pain, eventually leading to the use of a wheelchair. After a few months, I learned the disease metastasized to my spleen.
Yeah.
Doctors said I had probably 2 years to live.
Mm.
I was in my mid-40s and wanted more. I went back into research mode, consulting with multiple well-known facilities who all said the same thing. That's when I picked up the phone and followed through with a CTCA and got another opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I could go on. I'm just going to go on a little bit further here. But late April, I was set for surgery, but it got extremely sick and was admitted to the local hospital for the obstructed bowel. Once released, I couldn't eat or drink, so I went to another hospital for 3 weeks. They told me they wanted to operate, but I refused. I knew I needed to get back to CTCA. The doctors put in a central line for TPN, so my mom, sister, and I hired a medical transport van and drove down to Atlanta so I could have the surgery there. The surgery was intense, involving my spleen, pieces of my small bowel, and more. It was successful. A week later, I went back for emergency surgery, followed by an extended hospital stay. The care was amazing. Everyone from nursing, transportation, pastoral care, and cancer fighters spent time with us.
Yep.
Dr. Rosenberg performed adjustments to help my back. Dr. Johnson helped my side effects with acupuncture, and physical therapy ensured I got up to walk. After discharge, I returned to CTCA every 3 weeks for chemo and received my last treatment on my 45th birthday. Mm-hmm. My CA levels drastically decreased, and I remain cancer-free. Mm. I am so grateful for the entire staff at CTCA. My mom and I are now patient and caregiver advocates. We love changing roles in this journey. We love our changing roles in this journey and are happy we can give back by helping others. I am so grateful not to be just to be living, but to be thriving. Yeah. That is when I first met Tara Lessard. I will let Serena continue the story.
Oh gosh, I have my tissue box next to me. Thank you so much for reading that. I feel like I've known Tara for decades. She's just one of those people where you meet her, and I mean, you know this firsthand, Dr. Vibe. You feel like you've known her for like your whole life, And I met Tara April of 2018 at the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition Conference in New York City. And I was there vending, my poetry book, Crying Tears of Teal. I was in the vending hall, and it was a Saturday afternoon. And this woman comes out of the conference rooms, and the first table she stopped at was CTCA. So Cancer Treatment Centers of America were there. And then I was sitting directly across the way from them. And she immediately came over to my table and she said, I came here before, but there were so many people around you. I just decided to come back because the colors of your books captured my eye. And for those who know Tara, she is a photographer. So that's why the colors and everything and the images captured her. And she introduced herself, and we just sat there and we talked like we were old friends. And we really hit it off when she said, you said you live in the DC area, but you don't sound like you're from the DC area at all. And I said, well, I'm originally from South Jamaica, Queens. And Tara had a way of saying, oh my God. She was like, I'm from Jamaica, Queens too. And we just hit it off. She, spent some of her childhood in Queens and then moved to Morrisville, Pennsylvania. And from that moment on, we became very good friends. She shared her cocoa bombs with me that day. I was starving in that vending hall, and she says, I have what you need in my bag. She always carried food and snacks. She was a foodie. And then after that, we went to a food truck and had Mediterranean food for dinner. And that was just my first day meeting her, and she told me her tremendous story. She told me about how she had to fire doctors who didn't believe in her healing, who basically wrote her off, about all the travel she had to endure, her and her family. And when I met her at the time, she was walking, she had a cane, and she was in remission. So that was April 2018. I said, my God, you are a walking, talking, breathing testimony. Because my mother was stage 4 ovarian cancer and only, was alive for 6 months. So we came on to the show, a few months later, and I'm so glad we did. We did 2 shows together, and we were supposed to come back and do another show. We were going to do an end of the year show. I don't know if you remember this, Dr. Vibe. And at that time, I don't know if it was mid-fall, I remember she was talking to us offline saying she had had some labs done, and there were some numbers that were elevated. And she's, I have to, just check in, with some doctors and see what's going on here. And that is when she discovered that she had what you call a reoccurrence of cancer. So it was not ovarian cancer anymore. I believe it was pelvic. It had went to her pelvis. So it was pelvic cancer. But the rock star that Tara was, and I know she's with us shining down from heaven, she still wanted to take a trip before she started treatment and went to Florida. She went to Disney World, okay? And she wanted to see friends. And, this is the woman who was telling me about conferences I need to go to because she traveled to Hawaii and went to this health and wellness conference and said, you need to be there. We need to go together and you could be on the panel. And, I just knew she was going to beat it. It's like this girl came back from stage 4 ovarian cancer, and that is rare. She was definitely a testimony. And, as time went on, actually May of 2019, myself and my son were in Philadelphia to see my cousin graduate college, and we were able to go see her. We spent a lot of time with her on a Friday. It was like Friday afternoon, all evening into the night. And I'm so glad because that was her first time meeting my son. And I'm glad I got him there because we had all these plans, and she says, Serena, I just want you to know, I'm really having a tough time with my treatments. And we are trying everything, she said, but I'm still making plans. She was like, next spring, when you come back, I'm going to go to Rita's Ices. And for those who know what Rita's is in the United States, it is an amazing spot where you get ices. And she said, I want to get Rita's Ices, and I want to take Jordan to this apple orchard, and I want to take you to this field of sunflowers because that's her favorite flower. I actually have on earrings that look like flowers because of her. So we had all these plans, and her birthday was that September. She had a huge birthday party. I wasn't able to make it. And we spoke that week. We spoke the week of her party. It was after her party. And we spoke for a good couple of hours on the phone. And she said, I just wanted to talk to you because I'm going into a different kind of treatment because what I'm doing is not working. Again, we thought it was working, but certain tumors, some have decreased while some have really increased in size. And, I'm glad I had that phone conversation with her because that was the last time I heard her voice. I didn't know, I just knew in my heart she was going to beat this cancer. And we would text each other. She was really good about text messaging. So I would text her just to see how she was doing. I would send her pictures of Jordan, and I would send her jewelry. She loved jewelry and accessories. So I would send her jewelry and things that were teal and just things that were colorful and just happy. And I remember sending her a Christmas card with Jordan's picture in it, and I hadn't heard from her. And I said, let me just text her after the new year. And I remember wishing her a happy new year, not knowing that she passed away. And thank God for her sister, Sabrina. I don't know if she's watching. Her sister started going through her phone and saw my text message. And she reached out to me. I will never forget. It was the first Friday of this year, that we are, and I was at work. It was about 11:30 in the morning. And she said, Serena, I just want you to know, Tara did get your Christmas card. She got it. And she said she got it. And then a few days later, on December 26th, she passed away. And I mean, I was like, what are you telling me? Like, what are you saying here? And she said, I'm so sorry. So I'm just, and I mean, for her to say I'm sorry, I'm like, I'm sorry. She was your sister, you know. And she said, I'm trying to reach out to all her friends, but that in itself is a miracle, because Tara was just a light. Like, she had friends everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like, her best friend lives in Africa right now. I mean, she has friends and I thank God that her best friend, Shay, was at that birthday party. She was at the birthday party and then went to Africa afterwards. And she was actually able to, she made it back. They had like a nice private ceremony for her. And then we were going to have this outlandish, wild, you know, send off for her, because that was Tara. Tara
loved the flamboyant. She loved the flash.
She had the colors, and we were going to just do it up. And it was supposed to be on March 29th of this year, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then that got canceled. And then out of all of this, I will say the blessing I'm walking away is, just knowing her. She was just a light beyond lights. And she actually has a lot of talks online. If you just type in her name, it comes up. And she's done chats and talks and has volunteered, you know, with other women who had cancer, and, you know, just really was there for them, even when she was going through her own battle. But, you know, it's really, I still sometimes am in disbelief. You know, I actually wrote a blog through a shared cancer support group last September. And I asked them, can you please post this blog? It's for my friend Tara, and they know Tara. They were like, oh, Tara, yeah. I said, you know, it's her. Everybody knows Tara. They're like, oh, yeah, Tara Lessard. And I said, yeah, it's, and her name is spelled Lessard.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. But they actually posted it, and the name of the blog is Sunflower Friendship. And I told them, you know, that Tara was really having a tough time, but you know, Tara, she had an all-out birthday party. And I said, but I want to write something for her just so she could see it, just to brighten her day. And I'm so glad, because that was like my birthday present to her. And I remember her texting me back, and she says, okay, Serena, I'm already crying. And you just really just breaking me down over here with this blog. And I was like, Tara, I love you to pieces. I feel like I've known you since I was a child, and I've only known you since April 2018. My son loves you. You know, she was an artist beyond artist. I actually have one of her mixed media paintings in my kitchen.
Oh, wow.
My son she used to have these little tiny piggy banks that only fit one coin in them, one coin. And it's very tiny, it fits in your hand, and he puts that, it's on his dresser. He says, this will stay here forever. He said, I love Miss Tara. He said, she made the best bacon, Mom, because she said, what does Jordan like to eat? And literally everything I told her, like, well, he likes bacon, he likes oranges, he likes ices, he likes this. I'll just give her like just food here and there. And when we went to visit her last May, she had his favorite food spread out in her kitchen. And a whole box of ices. She said, we can't go get ices because I don't feel well. So I brought the ices to us. So we were sitting in her kitchen last May, eating ices, just shooting the breeze. And I would not have imagined being today doing this show without her. I miss her terribly. I was crying this morning over her, and I said, Tara, I'm about to do this show, and just give me the words to say without breaking down on the camera. in front of people. And you know, she shows up in different ways, because I had a little bout with my own health and had to get tested for COVID in July. And literally, when you pulled out the parking lot right across the street from the testing site was a whole backyard filled with sunflowers. That was not there last year. Just, I guess, whoever moved in planted a whole field of sunflowers. I said, all right, Tara, this is you telling me I'm okay. And sure enough, that test came back negative. Like, no, you're just having a flare up of your pre-existing, like your own symptoms. You're okay. I said, I knew I was okay when I pulled out the parking lot and I saw a field of sunflowers. Wow. But that's who she was. Her mother, Sarah, her dad, I mean, they're just amazing people. I'm thankful to be connected to them. And, you know, I pray for them every day. I told Sarah what my grandmother says, it's the worst feeling in the world to bury your children or to put your children to rest. They're supposed to outlive you.
Yep.
You know, but she's so positive. Her family and her friends are just so, they're like Tara. Everybody who I met who knew Tara are just ultra positive. And her birthday was just September 8th. She would have been 48 this year. And her Facebook timeline is flooded with tributes. It's just beautiful. So I know she's listening. You know, I love her. I know she's reunited with her son. I don't know if you read that part.
Yes, I did.
You know, but she actually was pregnant at one point, and, you know, she lost her son. And I always think that she's now reunited with him because she never had the opportunity to be a mother to him on this plane. So now on the divine plane, she
was mother to so many, though.
Oh, but she was a mother to
She was mother, like, I mean, Tara was the lady that would always put light in your life.
Yes. Yep. Not knowing what she was going through. She would never.
Didn't matter. It wasn't about her. It was always about shining light on, adding light to other people's lives. Have some comments here. I'm proud of you. I love you, Serena. On Hilda.
Oh, I'm going to really start crying now. I'm like this.
And Kim is going.
Is my mother's sister.
Kim is going. Rest in peace, Tara. And then I think this is the most meaningful words outside of what's coming from myself and Sabrina Lassard. Thank you so much for remembering my beautiful sister. She touched so many lives and fought with every breath of her physical body, sending the light and love of her spirit to you all.
Yes, Sabrina, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because I didn't want to find out that kind of news on social media.
No.
That, you know, you hear so much sometimes first on social media. And she said, I didn't want to text you. And I said, no, I'm glad you text messaged me, because there's never the right time to call. And I said, I can't imagine what's on your plate. But I thank her so much for reaching out and going through her phone and finding my number and reaching out and telling me. And that day was I had to go in the bathroom and cry for about 30 minutes at work and pull myself together to pick up my son. That evening.
I was gonna ask, how was this sharing it with your son?
You know, death is really you know, he's at that age where they're trying to understand. They're understanding death, but the way they understand it is, oh, if you're old, then you pass away. But now he's learning through, unfortunately, we had a cousin in 2017, Heather. She was turning 47 and died of cancer. You know, now we have Tara and other people that are younger. And the first thing he told me was, you know, Mom, you know, you and Miss Tara are almost the same age.
Same age. Ha, ha, ha. Bam, bam.
And, you know, I'm really doing everything in my power right now to not crack. But he's starting to put two and two together, that people that are Mommy's age are dying. And he said, I don't even really understand, Mommy, why your mommy had to pass away. And kids have like the wildest ideas. He says, you know, I want to invent a time machine. He just told me this the other week, so we can go back in time so I can meet my grandmother. Because he never got a chance to meet my mother. And he said, so I could go back in time and we can meet Tara sooner, so we can have our ICs. You know, that's how these kids think. You know, their imagination is so beautiful and bright. And I said, I wish we had a machine like that where we could just go back in time and visit folks, even for just a few minutes. But it's hard on these kids, you know, because he said, well, Mom, we were supposed to go back and visit her. What happened? I thought she was doing better. And I told him that's unfortunately the side of cancer. You could be doing better. You could be in remission from one cancer, and then here comes another cancer sometimes. And some women and men survive that second occurrence of cancer. Some people never get another occurrence of cancer, and some, like Tara, you know, they don't survive it. But she did everything in her body and in her natural power to beat this cancer. I have met some strong people in my life, but she is a powerhouse to be reckoned with. She really is.
Well, I don't think we need to go longer because I think enough has been said and shared. Kim is going, oh, my nephew's so smart.
I'm telling you, he wants to invent that time machine and say, we get it together, we'll be billionaires, okay? But he just wants to invent it just to capture moments in time that he never had or wants to get back. And I said, you know, there's so many people that would love that machine.
Well, this has not been easy for either myself or Serena. I know, especially for Serena, but it was something we had planned to do a while back.
Yeah.
And we had to do it.
We did.
We had to do it. And I just like to express my condolences to Tara's family. You created a gem.
Yeah, they really did. She's just an amazing woman. Just anyone she touched, you know, anyone she touched. If you had the baddest day, she would just like walk into your life, and suddenly you would either forget you were going through something, or it would just be subsided for a while because Tara graced you with her presence. That's how powerful her spirit was.
Wonderful. I just put up for those who are watching this live on the replay a link that you can read a tribute to Tara. I'm so choked up right now, Tara.
I know. Sarah's her mom. I know.
Oh, there you go, Tara. Yeah,
I know.
And Tara was, you know, just added light to my life.
Yeah.
And she's still adding light to my life.
Oh yeah, it's a forever thing. Until we meet again, she'll always add light to our lives.
So, folks, we're gonna start winding it down here. As you know, as you can see, it hasn't been easy for myself, and even more so for Serena. But we needed to do this, and I hope that you can feel how we felt.
Yeah.
And any closing thoughts you'd like to share with us? Serena, I almost feel bad asking where people can contact you, but I think Tara would want that to happen.
Yes, she would.
Right? So how can people get in touch with you?
I can hear Tara now. You go, girl. She was always about pushing me to my limits, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to keep going. But yes, thank you again. I'm glad we got this. I'm glad it happened this month too, Dr. Vibe, you know, and it was meant to happen not just in Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, but in Tara's birthday month as well. But people can reach me at serenawills.com. That is my author, writer, publishing coach. That's another thing I added to my
10 jobs, ma'am.
My 10 jobs, you know, I now help people get published. I'm their guide on the side and help them get published. A whole bunch of people did it for me. Why not do it for others? And, you know, and also on my website this month, Crying Tears of Teal, my poetry book, it's a fundraiser for the month of September. is $20 plus shipping and handling. I'm actually donating 75% back of the proceeds of this book to actually chapters through the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, and also an organization called NELD IT out of Austin, Texas. They're a dynamic duo of sisters. They lost their mother to ovarian cancer as well, Sheila and Archette. So I am, donating most of the money back to them. So, please support and share cancer support group as well, because Tara really loved the work they were doing. So that is that. And then Divine Wryte.com is WRYTE. Why the Y is in there? Because I'm an artist and I'm unique and I'm a writer. That's
you
why.
Bring it.
So
you bring it. Sarah wanted no other way. You bring it.
Yeah, it's just no other way. And Wright, like RIGHT, is just boring. So, and just WRITE is right. So DivineWryte.com is my health and wellness coaching practice. I do individual and group coaching sessions. I now do workshops as well. So I did a mindful eating workshop back in the summer. I'm going to do it a couple of times around the holidays. And I'm doing a special workshop around the holidays for caregivers of those who are caregiving those who have cancer or chronic illnesses, or caregivers who are like me, former caregivers who are in transition or their loved ones have transitioned. So look out for those dates on my websites, and social media. I'm on Divine Wryte, all one word, and Facebook, unfortunately, it's not unfortunate. It's just Serena Wills. So / Serena Wills. You can find me on Facebook. But thank you again. I thank everyone who tuned in. There were some very, very special people. Here comes my special one right now.
There he is. He wants his time. So
if my Aunt Hilda's watching, yep, my son is here. Say hi, Jordan.
Hi.
So,
hey, Jordan.
So
Kim says, yes, bring it, sis unique.
Yes. So, yeah, my son had to just come in and say hello.
Yeah, there you go. That's a style. And folks, he does this on every broadcast. So it's not.
I was kind of waiting. Yeah. This broadcast, I don't know if he knew, but he was sitting on the other side of the door the whole time. I could hear him.
Okay.
He usually goes to the other side of the apartment, but I told him this is going to be a little bit of a very emotional broadcast for me. And yeah, so he was sitting right in the next room the whole time.
All right. Well, Serena, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing me to a special gem.
You are very well. I'm glad. I'm so glad.
And Sabrina saying blessings. Thank you so very much. I am weeping, but with a deep feeling of love and gratitude. Right back at you, and right back to you and your family, Sabrina.
Love you too, Sabrina. Thank you.
And I'm just going to be calling the since Tara, Sabrina, all
and
that.
Sarah. We got Sarah, Tara, Sabrina. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, and Kim sends hearts. And yeah, folks, I just close it out here. So it is Dr. Vibe. I am the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2010 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And also once a month, I host broadcasts for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. If you want to get in touch with me, if you're watching this live or on the replay, there's my website address right at the bottom. It's scrolling. I'll just say the drvibeshow.com. That's where you can listen to replays of my 2000 Epic Conversations. All my social media is there. And if you want to send me a message, you can do it from there. And also you can also, you can also, if you want to be on the Dr. Vibe show, you can do it there also. Like to thank everyone who made this Epic Conversation possible. First and foremost, Tara, rest in power.
Yeah.
And then Kim, the Lassard family, thank you so much. Aunt Hilda, thank you so much. And Sean Dove, thank you so much. Nicola Waldron, keep on taking those classes with Serena. As always, I like to close out with these things. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. God bless, peace be well, keep the faith. And I'm going to leave with one last thing here. A while back, I had a gentleman named Robert Leung. He's a gentleman who lives on the northwest, an island off the northwest part of the United States, off of Seattle. And when I first met him, he introduced me to a concept that I've never heard of before, and he was the first one to really bring it to my attention. And I said, what would you like to talk about, Robert, the first time you come on the Dr. Vibe show? And he said, I want to talk about a living eulogy. And I went screwface. What's that? Like living eulogy? And he said, Dr. Vibe, isn't it interesting that a lot of times we save the best we want to say about someone during their eulogy? So what I'm saying is, if you have people that are close to you, either type it or write it. Write a eulogy while they're alive. Please, it'll make a world of difference. When I first shared this idea with my dad, he said he loved it so much he wants to do a video version. So we're getting ready to do a video version of our living eulogies for each other. Do not wait. Time never lost a fight. So if you have something especially uplifting that you need to say to someone, please do it. You never know. You never know. So I just want to leave on those words. God bless, peace be well, keep the faith, and walk good. Thanks for watching, everyone. Much appreciated. Bye-bye.